If you don't make $10,000 per month right now, then you need to watch this video. You see, most people think that it's a very complicated process, and they like you to think that it's very complicated because people like the fact that not everyone can do this, but in actual fact, it's very, very simple. And if you just know a few basic steps, you can actually do this for any service-based business, not just marketing agencies, not just SMMA, really any service-based business. And I have a 9-step process that I'm going to show you today and walk you through. First of all, if you don't know who I am, my name is Ben Lister. I help agency owners and service-based business owners to save thousands of hours by helping them with their outreach so they can start to work on the business rather than in the business. So I'm going to go into the computer right now and show you exactly how this thing works. Okay, so the first thing you need to do to actually make 10K per month with a service-based business is you need to find a problem. And so you want to find a problem with a specific group of people that is actually hard enough and painful enough for people to actually pay you a decent sum of money for it, ideally more than $1,000 per month or a couple $1,000 as a one-time fee. And I would find a problem that a specific group of people face. And you would segment this specific group of people based on an industry they work in, a business type that they work in, maybe demographics like age, like gender, like interests, all that kind of stuff. And we call this a niche. So your problem could be for gym owners who have owned their gym for less than 3 years, who are struggling to scale past 100 members, let's say. And the reason that they are struggling to scale past 100 members is because they do not have enough quality personal trainers available to them. They can't find enough people who are good enough to actually do the job that they are wanting to hire for. And so now we have a problem inside of a niche. And so the next thing that we actually need to do is to hypothesize a solution. And so we want to create a solution, and when we say hypothesize, we mean create an idea of a solution. We don't know this is going to be the exact solution that we're going to do, but we're going to create an idea. So this might be, for the example that we give, we might put Facebook posts out there about how to become a personal trainer, learn to become a personal trainer, and you can create a business where you can actually hire people, train people up to be a personal trainer, and then you can sell them to that gym. So you can say you can pay a fee, a flat fee or a monthly fee, and you get access to all of our personal trainers, something like that. The way that you can do this is by looking what's already out there in the market, maybe looking at ideas from different industries or different businesses, things that aren't really being thought of at the moment. You could take something that works and maybe add a twist on it, or you could take something that already works in a completely different niche or even the same niche, for example, and you could just try to replicate that. Because in order to make $10,000 a month, we're not looking to change the wheel here. We're not looking to reinvent anything. All we're looking to do is to replicate something that works and have a handful of clients who are willing to pay us, a decent sum of money, and that will get you to the 6 figures. And creating the solution is going to be easier if you actually are working in this niche, or you've had experience in this, or if you are this kind of person. So if you were a gym owner, for example, and you solved this problem before, then you can solve this problem for many different people. Or for example, if you are a young adult now and you have experience, you've improved your dating life, for example, you could coach other people on how to improve theirs. And these kind of ideas, obviously, you need to really snowball with these and brainstorm with these ideas, but eventually you will have a solution that you think could work, and other people that you speak to would say, that's a potential solution that could work, but obviously we don't fully know if this will work just yet. And so now the third step that we want to do is we want to go ahead, we want to create an offer. So you can't just tell people what your solution is. You need to tell them the result of the solution. So people don't care how to solve this problem. They just care that it gets solved. So if we go back to the personal trainers example, no one cares if you fly in personal trainers from the other side of the world, or you use an AI platform where it's not really a personal trainer, but it's actually some kind of computer system, or you just have a basic process where you put ads out there on a job website, you hire people and then refer them to the gym. All they care about is that they actually get personal trainers into the gym that do a good job and that can meet the needs of their clients. And that's it. There's many ways to create a great offer, but you want to create as least friction as possible. So when someone actually signs up, they either are not paying as much upfront, so basically it's on a performance basis, or it takes very little effort, very little sacrifice. It's something that they basically don't have to do. It's a completely done for you solution. Everyone is familiar with, of course, the Alex Hormozy value equation, where basically you have the perceived likelihood of achievement and multiply by the dream outcome. So basically how good the actual solution is. So we can give you as many personal trainers as you want. That's obviously a dream outcome by the probability of this actually happening. So if you have a risk reversal, then the prospects actually think that you have a higher chance of actually completing on the offer and you can actually do it. And then this is all divided by the time that it takes. So if this takes a very short amount of time, this is better. And if there's less sacrifice, so how much effort the person or the prospect actually has to do in order to get this result. And so this is how you basically base your offer. So you want to have it to be as soon as possible. You can say, we can get personal trainers in your gym tomorrow. Low sacrifice, you don't have to do anything, we'll handle it all for you. The dream outcome is, of course, you focus on the actual result. We can give you high quality personal trainers, not just any personal trainers that have passed a certain qualification, personal trainers that have at least 5 years of experience, anything like that. And then the perceived likelihood of achievement is, of course, we can do this on a risk-free basis. So you only pay once you're happy that there's a personal trainer that you like, or you can give an absolute guarantee where basically if at any point you're not happy with our services, you can get a return or you can get a refund on that last month's payment at any point. And this gives some kind of confidence and security that the prospect knows that you are going to deliver on that offer. And offers is like a whole another thing. I could probably make a 3, 4, 5 hour video on offers talking about how to do them and why to do them and why it's so important. But for now, you just have to know that you need to create one. And so once we have an offer, we need to go ahead and find some prospects. Now, this is very, very simple. There's a lot of ways to do this, right? Lead sourcing and finding people that are actually going to be interested in your service. And of course, it all depends on who you're marketing to and what the actual solution is. So I like to do this through social media mostly, especially if you're working with people who, own a certain type of business or they are a certain type of person, and it's very difficult to find emails sometimes and stuff like that. Oftentimes you can go through Facebook groups, LinkedIn profiles, you can go through YouTube comment sections, a whole bunch of stuff where as anyone's asking for something, anyone's looking for an issue or asking a question, this is a prospect. They might have a similar problem that you are trying to solve. And of course you can do this through in-person events if you want. You can go through business directories. There's many different ways to actually go and find the contact information of these people that you're looking for. And then so for step number 5, we simply just want to speak to prospects. There's so many ways to do this and people get really bogged down into the details of this, but the simple fact is that you just want to put your offer in front of as many people as possible. So initially, to start with, you're going to get a lot of rejection. You're going to get people that aren't interested. People will realize very quickly that you're selling to them. And if you have an offer that's good enough where it's a risk reversal, maybe you're doing it as a free trial or something like that just to get people in the door and to test your solution, then you won't have this kind of problem as much. People will realize that you're just trying to help them. But the ways you can do this, of course, is cold calling, cold emails, social media. You can literally send flyers out, leaflets. You can go into the businesses and ask the people themselves. There's so many different ways to do this, and the way that you do this is obviously really dependent on the niche and on the problem. The more creative that you are with this, probably the better. And I would always track the numbers on this. So you want to work out, for example, if you are cold calling, how many dials you did, how many people picked up, how many people responded positively, how many people responded negatively, how many people actually agreed to speak with you at a later date, someone that was actually interested in this and was prepared to give up some of their time to speak to you. All of these different metrics, I would track the objections that you have, all this kind of stuff. And the reason for this is what this information tells you is it means you can make very, very high quality decisions. So if you are only booking, 1 out of every 100 calls from cold calling, and you don't know the numbers, it's very difficult to understand what's going on here. Why am I not booking as many calls as I want to? Why are people doing 5, 6, 7 times the amount of calls that I'm doing? And if you realize that your pickup rate is 25%, maybe the number that you're using isn't really any good anymore, and maybe it's been marked as spam. Maybe if your pickup rate is really good but people aren't responding positively, you need to focus on your offer or the way that you're actually presenting the offer. And having this information means that you're not guessing anymore. You're now making scientific decisions based on numbers, and this is the way that you slowly start to improve and actually make sure that you can speak to more people and generate a profitable business. And so once people have agreed to speak with you, and of course we need to sell to the prospects. Now, sales is way too big for even to me to mention this in a short 2 or 3 minute segment. People pay tens of thousands of dollars to get better at sales, and they spend hundreds and hundreds of hours, thousands of hours to get better at sales, and it is a whole industry in itself worth hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, right? So to break this down to a few small sentences would be very difficult, but there's many ways to do this. With most offers and most sales techniques, you want to include some urgency and some scarcity. If you have a very one-to-one approach where basically you can only handle 5 clients, I would always make sure I'm telling the prospects, okay, so we can only handle 5 clients per month. We currently have 3 for this month, for example, or 4. And so if you don't go ahead with this now, you're basically going to miss out in the future. So that's how I would create some kind of urgency and some kind of scarcity as well. And you always want to focus on the actual offer itself, the final result. A very famous saying is to sell the vacation, not the flight ticket. So when someone is going on holiday, when someone's going on vacation, they don't see pictures of the plane in the airport, they see pictures of the beach and the hotel and what that looks like. And this is what you want to do with your prospects. You don't want to talk to them about the facts that, you can do Facebook ads for them, you can do this for them, you can do that for them. What you want to tell them is, well, imagine how it's going to be when you have a gym full of high quality personal trainers and you actually have to turn people away because there's too many personal trainers to actually focus on the clients. Your problem now is not how many personal trainers you have, but it's actually how many clients you have. And so when you start to focus on the end result, this is when you really start to sell and people can actually gain some kind of emotional connection to it. They're not just focusing on the nitty gritty of Facebook pixels and, hiring processes and all that kind of stuff. They're focusing on the end result. And to do this as well, you will always get objections. You need to focus on some basic objection handling techniques. We don't need to be an absolute savant at handling objections and a sales genius to do this. You literally just need to close 10 to 20% of your prospects and you'll be making far more than $10,000 a month in just a few months' time. Now, step 7 is what I like to call the trial and error stage. And so this is to do with your actual service delivery, and you want to trial and error your way to a solution. So if you remember back to step 2, hypothesize a solution. The reason that we say hypothesize and not create a solution is because you can't create a solution without actually testing the service first. There's a big difference between what happens in theory on paper and what happens in reality. If you were going to do the personal trainer service, right, and you were going to develop a system where you hire personal trainers internally and you train them up and then you wait for a gym to come around and then you give them to a gym. Let's say, for example, you had that process and you think this is fantastic, there's no way this can fail, this is a solution that we've had, lots of people agree with this. I've spoken to many people who would say this would be a great service that they would want. But then you come to do it and you realize that the personal trainers don't want to wait around too long. They want to just go straight into a position. They're getting bored, they're getting tired, they want to go to somewhere else because they've been sat around for too long now. And so now you realize that the solution needs to be reworked. There needs to be something there where the actual personal trainers can wait long enough, or you can generate customers quick enough so that there's no waiting gap between when someone's qualified and when someone is actually trained. And so this is just one problem that could actually come up for any solution. And of course, with every single solution, there's always going to be problems. You're never going to get it spot on. But the main thing that you need to do is figure out what's going wrong and then actually make that appropriate change. So if you're making changes, it's the same thing really with the metrics and tracking the results from your prospecting. If you're looking at the service as a whole and you're not actually making the changes where it needs to be and you're just randomly changing parts of the service, you're never ever going to have a solution that works. You need to get feedback from your customers. You need to get feedback from the actual people that you're working with if it's the personal trainers. And you need to make this a step-by-step process where basically you go from top to bottom. Is the lead sourcing part of our service working? Yes, it is. Okay. Then we go down. Is this part working? Yes, it is. And so at every point you need to go down, and once you actually find out the problem and you figure out what it is and you can actually define that problem, then you have a real chance of actually solving it, right? And this is another huge section, but really in order to get to 10K per month, you do not need the best service in the world. It literally just needs to be sufficient so that you can, keep clients for a couple of months, and so you can have a prospecting wheel big enough and a sales system big enough so that you can sign enough clients in order to actually, keep up with the churn. Now, I would iterate this problem until I had about 75% customer satisfaction. So if your offer was, we are going to give you, let's personal trainer example, 5 personal trainers every single month, right? And if for 75% of the clients that you bring on, you're able to give them 5 high quality personal trainers that they like, then I'll be able to move to the next stage. And so step number 8 is to improve the offer. Now, when you initially create the offer in step 3, you're going to create something that is, there's a risk reversal in there, but there's no you're not going into the red. There's no risk for you in that sense. You're going to give up your time, right? But obviously if you're not really making too much money, then your time isn't worth all that much. So you're happy to do that. But when it comes to, we've had a 75% client success rate. We know that we're very good at what we do. Now we can really start to implement some guarantees in there, some serious risk reversal. We can give money to the gyms if we're not successful. And so let's say 25% of your clients don't actually do well, right? So you need to give them a refund, you need to basically give them money back, and you can say, we'll give you a full refund and we'll work for you for free for 3 months. So that's how confident we are that we can do this, okay? But if you know 25% of your clients won't be successful with this, but 75% will, then you can easily account that into your margins. And so if you have a much better offer, your closing rate is going to go up, your booked call rate is going to go up, every single metric inside of your sales and your marketing will skyrocket. And you know that 25% of your clients won't actually get the result that they want. They'll fall a bit short, so you have to give them their money back, you have to work for free, but you can work that into your budget, you know. And so if your refund rate is 25%, but your sales has increased by 40%, 50%, then it's a net win. And obviously, during this whole process, you still want to be going through the trial and error phase, improving your service and slowly getting better and better, because we don't just want to stop at 10K, of course, we probably want to go much further than that. And when you have this offer that is much better, you're going to be selling more, you're going to be signing more clients, you're going to be able to learn more as well. And so you're going to make more money, the service is slowly going to get better. And as that refund rate is slowly starting to decrease bit by bit, the percentage of clients that obviously is getting refunded is less, which means the money that you're getting from clients that are being successful is going up, and it also means that the total amount of clients you're signing, the total amount of revenue is also going up. So at this point, you have like every metric going in the right direction, as long as you're still iterating and improving that service. So now we've got an improved offer, we have a very good service, and we have a client success rate that is probably more than 80% at this point, maybe 85, 90+%. And so the next thing we need to do is simply scale. Now, people get confused when it comes to scale. People think that you scale when you have 0 clients, or you scale when you have 1 client. You do not scale until you have a system that you know is working. So really, this is when you're at that 75% of client satisfaction. And so when we look at the actual definition of scale, what it means here is it's a distinctive relative size, extent, or degree, okay? So it's the proportion of the size increase. If you are looking to scale something, you're not looking to change something. And so if you're currently signing 1 client per month, 1 client every 6 months, to scale that would to then be basically double that. So obviously now you're signing 2 clients every 6 months, but that's not something that is scalable. And so you're not just increasing the number of clients you'll make. So let's say you do 100 outreaches per day, and that gives you 1 booked call per day, right? To scale that would be 200 outreaches per day and 2 booked calls per day. That is scale. You can only really scale when you have a system in place that actually works well. So there's no point scaling something that has a appointment booking rate out of KPI, that has a sales conversion rate out of KPI. Scale only happens once you have something that works and you just do more of it. And so when we come back to this process, once you have a conversion rate or a client success rate of 75% or more, then you can scale that, because that is something that you can increase over time, and it makes sense to do that. But for example, if your offer is terrible, if 75% of your clients want to leave after the first month, if you don't have a service that is really working, your sales conversion rate is down, you're not finding good prospects, you're not booking prospects into calls, and the whole system at that point, it just doesn't really make sense to scale that, because you don't want more of it. You want to improve it, and then you want to scale it, and then you want to start to increase it. So this is a 9-step process here that would work for any service-based business, whether you are doing recruitment, whether you're doing marketing, whether you're doing literally anything that is not selling products. This is a step-by-step process, how to go from 1 to 9 all the way to 10K per month. And if you think about the numbers for this, if you were to sign clients for $1,000 per month, right? Let's say, for example, your client success rate is now 75%, okay? So 75% of your clients actually stay on past the first month, and the average client after that will stay for 3 months, okay? So if we're looking for $10,000 per month, okay? You sign 1 client for $1,000 per month, okay? And the lifetime value of that client is going to be $3,000, okay? And that's if they do convert, okay? So this is the lifetime value of a good client, okay? But the lifetime value average, or the lifetime value total, would be 75% of that, right? So that would be $250. So in order to get to 10,000 in revenue, in lifetime value, so total revenue, then it would mean you would need to divide the 10,000 by the 250, which works out as 4.44 clients every single month, right? And if you want to go backwards with this, you need 4.4 clients every single month. Let's say your sales conversion rate at 10-15%. And so this is going to give us 29.6 calls, which is obviously, 30 calls, let's say. And let's say in order to get 30 calls, 1% of the people that you reach out to actually book a call with you and are interested and want to take one step further, and you have that call, okay? So if that is the appointment booking rate at 1%, and that's going to equal 2,960, Okay, and now there's obviously other things in here like your show up rate and different things like that, right? But let's just say, your show up rate was terrible, right? Your show up rate was 60%, okay? And so this is going to be 4,933 outreaches, okay? And then let's just say there's other factors in there as well, like, maybe you have a bad week with sales or something else like that. Let's say that there's a 50% increase in this, right? So your total number of outreaches that you need is 7,500 outreaches. And so per business day, so let's say just 5 days per week, you could obviously do 6 days per week with this. There's about 21 business days in a month, right? That would give you 357 outreaches per day, okay? And that's 5 days a week. If you wanted to do 6 days a week, you'd probably get that down to like 300. And so this is the thing. In order to get, so these metrics are absolutely terrible. You would not need to be skilled to get this. A 1% appointment booking rate is really, really bad, especially if you're doing something like cold calling where you can just repeat loads of it. A 60% short rate is terrible. If you just downloaded Calendly and implemented their workflows, you're going to get 80% anyway. The sales conversion rate of 15%, it's not the worst in the world, but it could be much, much, much better, that's for sure. And so these metrics are terrible. They're no good at all. Just any client that I worked with that had these kind of metrics, this would be the first thing that I'd be looking to change. And so it still only gives us 357 outreaches. Now, you can make 357 cold calls in about 5 hours of work. It's really not that long, and you could probably do it in shorter time than that. And so the LTV is really bad. So you're only charging $1,000 per month. 75% of your clients are good. You could get that way, way higher. And so your actual LTV of a client is about $2,250. Okay. And so these numbers are terrible. If you start to slowly increase these numbers, the amount that you're making per month is going to skyrocket. The amount of cold calls that you need to do per day is going to plummet. And there's a step-by-step process here, 9 different stages. You've gone through a whole different process here on basically how to have like really, really terrible metrics and still make $10,000 per month. And it really isn't that difficult. And the best thing about a service-based business is when you're only charging $1,000 per month or something like that, and it's the service, you don't actually have to fulfill the service. There's no products involved. The costs are very low. 75, 80, 90% of this is going to be profit to you. So you're going to make more money than the 1% of the 1% across the globe, the 1% in the Western world, just by working for 5-6 hours a day and just by having some determination and actually putting yourself out there. Even if you're working a full-time job now, even if you are a student right now, all you have to do is put aside extra hours in the evening, wake up early in the morning, get this stuff done, and you do this for 6 months and you've basically done it. And remember, this is just to sign 4.4 clients in a month, right? And so if you did this from today, you would generate, with these numbers, you would generate $10,000 in revenue. Now, of course, not in first month, because you would only make, $4,000 or $5,000 if you sign 5 clients in that first month. But in lifetime value, the money that you can expect from your clients, you would make $10,000 in that month in revenue. And this would be a first month revenue. This would not be what you get on, the month 6, month 7, month 8. If you had these numbers from the very first day, then this is the amount that you would get. If you kept going on that rate and you start to increase it, then you're very going to be making $10,000 cash per month after this. So I hope when you see this that it is actually very straightforward and it's not this really big daunting task that a lot of people do think it is. By the way, if you are struggling to sign clients and you want someone to sign clients for you on a done-for-you basis, go ahead and click the first link in the description. Don't worry, we're not going to ask your email or your phone number or anything like that. It's literally you just sign up for a call, watch a video, understand how it works. And if you don't want to watch, of course, you're not interested, then of course you can just watch these videos and enjoy the content. But yeah, I do appreciate you watching this one. If you did enjoy the video, go ahead and like it. If you want to see anything specifically covered, go ahead and comment it down below. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more. Cheers.